They say some buildings in Jaipur breathe, not with the wind, but with the whispers of those who never left. Tonight, we're not just telling a story. We're unlocking the door to a place where the past isn't just history. It's a guest who refuses to check out. This is the last guest of Room 47, a Jaipur horror story. Our story begins with Arav, a travel vlogger chasing the perfect Instagram shot. He checked into the Rang Mahal Haveli, a magnificent old mansion tucked away in Jaipur's labyrinthian streets. He was captivated by its fading frescoes, intricately carved balconies, and the lingering scent of sandalwood. This wasn't just a hotel. It was a time capsule, the kind of place that guarantees viral content. At the reception, an old caretaker with eyes clouded by cataracts handed him a heavy, ornate key. He glanced at the room number. Room 47, he asked, his voice raspy. Are you sure, sir? Room 32 has a much better view of the city palace. Arav, already composing a caption in his head, just smiled. No, I'm good. Booked this one specifically online. It looked authentic. The caretaker's grip on the counter tightened. He leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. A word of advice, sir. If you hear knocking at night, don't open the door. Arav chuckled. He'd heard it all before. Ghosts and forts, curses on ancient jewels. Every city had its tourist trap myths. They made for great stories, but that's all they were, or so he thought. Later that night, the Haveli fell into a deep, almost unnatural silence. The cacophony of the pink city faded into a distant hum. Arav was on his laptop, editing a reel of the vibrant markets, when he heard it. Knock, knock, knock. It was a slow, hollow, deliberate sound, coming directly from his room's heavy wooden door. He got up, a little annoyed, and peeked through the antiquated peephole. The corridor was empty. A single bulb flickered overhead, casting long, dancing shadows. He opened the door, just to be sure. Nothing, just the scent of dust and old wood, shrugging it off as the old building settling. He locked the door and went back to his work. He was jolted awake later. The clock on his phone read 1:47 a.m. The knocking was back, but this time it wasn't on the door. It was coming from inside the room, from the wall right behind his bed. Knock, knock, knock. It was frantic, desperate, followed by a faint scratching sound, like fingernails dragging across plaster. He could almost hear a muffled voice, a plea trapped within the very structure of the building. Instinctively, he lunged for the light switch. The room flooded with a dull, yellow light, and just like that, the sounds vanished. Complete silence. His heart was pounding in his chest. This wasn't the house settling. This was something else. The next morning, Arav found the old caretaker sweeping the courtyard. He wasted no time. What is going on in room 47? He demanded, his voice sharper than he intended. The caretaker stopped sweeping, but didn't look up. He seemed to shrink into himself. I told you, sir. You should have taken the other room. He finally met Arav's gaze, his cloudy eyes filled with a deep, weary sadness. Room 47. It was sealed for many years, he began, his voice barely a whisper. 22 years ago, a young bride was to be married from this Haveli. On her wedding night, she vanished from this very room, he continued. Her family was powerful. They searched every corner of Jaipur, but she was gone. The next morning, the room was found locked from the inside. They had to break the door down, and Arav pressed, and it was empty. The caretaker said, no sign of her, no sign of a struggle. No one ever found her body. The only thing they found were stains on the wall, dark stains that wouldn't wash away. Arav felt a chill that had nothing to do with the morning air. He forced a skeptical laugh. So why rent it out now? If it's so haunted, why not just keep it sealed? The caretaker's voice dropped, trembling with a fear that was chillingly real. Because the new owner believes, he says, that as long as someone sleeps in that room, she doesn't wander the rest of the Haveli. She stays put. Arav was stunned into silence. He wasn't just a guest, he was bait. That night, Arav couldn't bring himself to turn off the lights. He tried to stay awake, scrolling endlessly on his phone, playing music, anything to fight off the suffocating silence and the inevitable descent of sleep. But exhaustion is a patient hunter. His eyes grew heavy. He must have dozed off, because when he next glanced at his phone, the time was 2:03 a.m., and the room was no longer still. His gaze drifted to the large antique mirror on the wall. The surface was foggy, as if someone had just breathed upon it. And then, as he watched in paralyzed horror, letters began to form in the condensation, etched by an invisible finger. 5 words that froze the blood in his veins. Let me out this time. Suddenly, the door to the room banged violently, not from the outside, but from the inside, as if something was desperately trying to get in, or to keep him from getting out. The heavy wardrobe in the corner rattled on its own, its doors straining against their lock. And then he heard it, the most terrifying sound of all. The delicate metallic clinking of bridal anklets. Not walking, not running, dragging. The sound was coming from the corner of the room, slowly, agonizingly, making its way closer and closer to his bed. He tried to move, to scream, to do anything, but a profound, unnatural terror had cemented him to the mattress. He was a spectator to his own nightmare. The mattress beside him dipped, sinking under an unseen weight. He felt something cold, impossibly cold, sit down next to him. He held his breath, his eyes squeezed shut. He felt a hand icy, delicate, and trembling with a sorrow that spanned decades slide across his face. It traced his jawline, his cheek, before its fingers came to rest lightly, questioningly, on his throat. And then, a whisper, right beside his ear, a voice of silk and sorrow, laced with an eternal, lonely madness. Sleep here forever, with me. The next morning, the caretaker went to room 47. He found the door unlocked. The room was empty. Arev's suitcase was still by the door, neatly packed. His phone was on the nightstand, still plugged into the charger. His wallet, full of cash and cards, lay untouched. Arev himself was gone. The only thing out of place was the bed. The covers were rumpled, and the mattress showed two distinct impressions, side by side, as if two people had slept there all night. Today, if you look up the Rang Mahal Haveli online, you'll find room 47 is available for booking. The reviews are interesting. Great heritage stay. One reads, but I kept hearing someone knocking at night. Another says, felt strange chills the whole time, like someone was constantly watching me. The old caretaker, he doesn't warn the new guests anymore. He knows it's pointless. The bride in room 47 doesn't want the guests to leave. She was left alone for so long. Now, she just wants company. So, the question remains, would you dare to be her next guest? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories that lurk in the shadows, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales from the dark. Thanks for watching. Sleep well.